With the changing of the seasons also comes the changing out of decor. And while most of us don't have seasonal decor in every corner of our house, there's one piece most people change out: the wreath on their front door. Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am going to be turning a basic wreath into a multi-use seasonal wreath, and the season that I'm focusing on in this video is spring/Easter. I had originally planned to do 3 different types of patterns in this video for Valentine's Day, Easter, and spring, but since it's already past Valentine's Day, I made that wreath last week, and this week when I was starting to make the Easter wreath, I decided that it's probably pretty simple to combine Easter and spring so that you don't have to make as many changes or as many pieces that you have to put in your storage later. This is the wreath that I am going to be using in today's video. I did make this wreath out of felt. As you can probably guess, this did take me a very long time to make, so I won't be showing you how to make this wreath in today's video, but if you would like to make this wreath or something similar, I have linked the tutorial I used in the description. These are the attachments that I made for my Valentine's wreath. I'm going to be using a very similar method to what I used on this wreath, but as you can see, I made a bunch of little hearts and they say, "Welcome to be friendly and welcoming." To make the attachments, I use felt. You can use any color you want. I use cream, blue, and purple. You'll also need a pair of scissors, a marker, preferably a washable marker, some stencils of the shapes you want to draw, and then to put everything together, you can either use a hot glue gun or embroidery floss. I will be using embroidery floss in this video. I also used some polyfill to stuff my attachments. So for my wreath, I'm going to be using the egg-shaped stencil that I made, and I'm just going to be tracing this out onto the piece of felt. You're going to need 2 pieces of felt for every attachment. You can make as many attachments as you want, however many you think will fill up your wreath. Since I made 7 hearts for Valentine's Day, I decided to also make 7 eggs for Easter. When I cut out the eggs, I did have to be very careful to trim off the marker lines. This way you won't be able to see them in the finished product. Once I cut out the eggs, I also did a little extra trimming to really make sure that those marker lines disappeared. Now that I have all the pieces cut out, I'll pair the pieces that match up the best. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I wanted to combine a spring and Easter wreath so that I could leave it up for longer. So to decorate my eggs, I cut out little tulips out of purple and blue felt, using the same process that I used to cut out the eggs. So now that I've got my egg pieces and my felt pieces, it's time to combine them using the embroidery floss. I chose a dark blue and a dark purple to match the tulips, and then a yellow for some accent colors. I just used a simple running stitch to attach the tulips. I thought that this looked cute. I also kind of highlighted the peaks of the tulip with my stitches. Right, we got our little tulips sewed on. So before we attach the front to the back, we need to talk about how we're going to be attaching these little eggs to my wreath. So I originally wanted to use Velcro because I thought that would be pretty cool if I could just buy some Velcro and be able to stick it on and rip it off very easily. Unfortunately, I couldn't figure out a way to hide the Velcro if I just wanted to leave the wreath blank, and I think that it's really nice to have a blank version of your wreath available when you don't have a specific holiday or season you're decorating it up for. Instead, I decided to use pins. I used pins on the back of my little Valentine's hearts. These are the pins I've used, and I got them from Michael's. I ended up getting the bigger size, so it has 3 holes in the pin. I wanted to be able to make sure it was very strongly attached, but if you were making something smaller or you wanted your attachment to be a little bit lighter, you could use the smaller size. I'm going to sew these onto the back of our eggs, and then we will be attaching them together with a blanket stitch. Alright, so I'm going to get my little pin here and the back of the egg, and I am just going to attach these. I like to check to make sure that the pin actually works before I attach it, because I've noticed that sometimes the pin can get stuck. You can use whatever color thread you want for the backs of the eggs. I just used the leftover scraps that I had from sewing on the tulips. I didn't feel like I needed a ton of stitches to secure the pin to the back of the egg. I just did a few basic stitches to make sure it was secure. I almost forgot, but I also added 2 tiny stitches of yellow to add a little bit more detail to my tulips. Now that we have all of our pieces ready, we can sew everything together. Like I mentioned earlier, I wanted to use the blanket stitch. To do a blanket stitch, it's really fairly simple. To get started, you'll put your needle through one of the 2 pieces you're trying to join together and then pull it all the way through. Then you'll put your needle through both pieces in the same spot and pull it almost all the way through so there's just a little bit of a loop left. Pull your needle through that loop, essentially creating a knot to hold the 2 pieces together. Then about a stitch length away, you're going to put your needle through both pieces again, and once again only pull through until there's a little bit of a loop left. Then stick your needle through that loop and pull it taut, and you'll be able to see that kind of bridge that forms whenever you do a blanket stitch. After that, you just keep repeating this process all the way around the eggs. When you get to have about a finger width left of stitching to do, this is when I pull out the polyfill to stuff up my eggs. This is obviously an optional step. You could just have flat attachments if you wanted to, but I think puffing them up a little just gives them more dimension and makes it look cuter. Alright, now that I've finished making the eggs, it's time for me to attach them to my wreath. I wanted to alternate the blue and purple pattern, but then I realized that since I made 7 eggs, I actually had 1 extra, so I left it off for now. Alright guys, this is the finished wreath. I think it turned out really cute. I am kind of bummed that I made 1 extra egg, but let me know if you think I should make an 8th egg to balance out the whole wreath so I can put both of them on here. This was a really fun project. The only thing I would have changed is instead of using a permanent marker, I wish I had used one of those invisible ink felt markers, because that would have prevented me from getting ink all over my fingers, and also you wouldn't see the marker lines on the felt. I think I did a pretty good job of hiding them, but it could have been better. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you liked my design or if you have any tips of ways I could have made this project easier or cuter. If there are any seasons you'd like to see me make for my wreath, comment them down below and I will be sure to make a video about them. That's all for today, but I'll see you in the next video. Bye!